right, friends, lesson 14, module 3, we're going to jump right into this. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to message me. Also, again, if this video is going too fast for you, or if you are needing to repeat something, feel free to pause it, rewind it, replay, whatever you need in order to be successful. Please make sure you are taking charge of your learning. All right, we're going to start off with our warm-up. We have 2/7 plus 3/4. Is that going to get me something that is greater than, less than, or equal to with the number, whole number 1? Same thing goes for number 2. I have 1/3 plus 1/4. Is that going to get me something that is greater than, less than, or equal to 1 whole? I am going to pause the video. I'm going to pause the video. This is the warm-up. I want you to try this on your own. When you're ready, hit play. I'll go over all the work with you. All right, so hopefully you guys had a chance to go ahead and try these on your own. Looking at the first problem right here, I have 2/7 plus 3/4. Again, this needs to be done mentally. I, of course, could take these two fractions over to the side and do butterfly method to see if I get something that's 1 whole or not. But I want to be able to do this in my head. So I'm going to draw these imaginary number lines in my brain, but since I'm going to be showing you how to do that, I'm going to be projecting these imaginary number lines here on the paper. Okay, so I have my number line right here. I'm going to have 0, 1 whole. Thinking about those benchmark fractions again, right here I have 1/2. Okay, right here I have 1/4, and then right here I have 3/4. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in 3/4 since I have it right here on my sheet. I'm going to start from 0 and I'm going to shade in 3/4, just like that. All right, now I'm going to label my 7ths on my number line. So I have, let's see, 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7. I don't like those, they're not spaced out properly. Let's redo that. Let's do 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7, 7/7. Okay, I'm now going to shade in 2/7. So that is here to here, this little area right here. Okay, now if I were to take this area right here that I colored and I were to add it on to my 3/4 like so, I am going to be over the value of 1. Okay, I'm going to be over 1. So that tells me, I don't want red, I want brown, that 2/7 plus 3/4 is going to be greater than 1 whole. Another way I can kind of think about that is that I know 3/4 is close to 1 whole, and I know that if I were to find a common denominator between 7 and 4, I'd get 28. Okay, I know that 1/4 of 28 is 7, because 7 can go into 28 4 times. Now, if this 4 times 2 would be 8. Well, 8/7 or 8/28 is larger than 7/28, which would be over 1/4. And I know 3/4 plus 1 more 4th is going to get me over a whole. Again, guys, these are not easy. These take a lot of time and thinking. Please, please, please know that this is not something that's just going to happen overnight. You guys got to practice these. All right, looking at question 2. I already know the answer to this one without having to solve it out with the number line in my brain. I know that 1/3 plus 1/4 are both under the half value. They both are less than half. Okay, so two things that are less than half, when added together, are going to be less than a whole. That's just common sense for me, guys. Two things that are both smaller than 1/2 are going to be less than a whole. All right, now we are going to scroll down to our concept development for today. For our concept development, we are going to be working a lot with parentheses today. I keep forgetting to circle that pen. Parentheses are something we're really going to be focusing on today. We are going to be adding mixed numbers and fractions and subtracting mixed numbers and fractions. And we're going to be given different numbers that have unlike denominators. And we're going to be arranging those fractions and mixed numbers based on how it's going to be the easiest to solve. The less steps necessary, the quicker we can get through it. And we're going to be arranging these numbers based on common denominators. So let's look at number 1 here for a second. Let's look at number 1. It says 2/3 plus 1/5 plus 1/3 plus 1 4/5. I am going to circle or highlight the things that have common denominators. Well, I know that 2/3 has a common denominator with 1/3. Okay, 3 and 3. Those two are going to go together. I know that 1/5 has a common denominator of 1 4/5. 5 and 5. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to group the common denominators in parentheses to make it easier to solve in my brain. So I'm going to rewrite this problem, putting the common denominator fractions and mixed numbers in parentheses. So that's going to give me, if I were to put in parentheses right here, I'm going to do 2/3 plus 1/3. So I'll do that in green just so we can kind of see the relationship there. I have 2/3 plus 1/3 parenthesis. Oop, I want that in black. I don't want that in green. Boom, boom, like so. I'm going to bring down that plus sign, okay? And now I'm going to put my other two fractions and mixed numbers that are having common denominators over here. So I have 1/5 plus 1 4/5. Now what I've done is I've just rearranged this problem by placing the common denominator fractions next to each other. All right? I'm going to start right here by adding my 2/3 plus 1/3. Well, I know that 2/3 plus 1/3 is going to get me 3/3, which is the same as 1/2. Let me see. I'm going to actually get rid of that. 3/3 is the same as 1/2. So I'm just going to write down 1/2 right here. Plus, I know that 1/5 plus 4/5 is 5/5, which is 1/2. But 1/2 plus another 1/2 is going to get me 2. 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this problem out. 1 plus 2 is going to get me 3. This was a very long problem. It looked really intimidating at first. There was absolutely no reason for me to do the butterfly method here. No reason to do big sibling, little sibling. If I just looked at the problem, took a step back, said, you know what, if I rearrange this, I can do this in my head. So I went through, I rearranged it, I grouped using parentheses. I said, you know what, I think I can just do this in my brain. Okay? Now, addition's a little easier because it doesn't matter how I arrange them. The addition signs go wherever the fractions and mixed numbers go. But when we work with subtraction, there's a few steps and rules that we need to follow. These, just like how these addition signs stick with our fractions and our mixed numbers, these subtraction signs also stick with these mixed numbers and fractions. When I move this fraction, I don't just move the fraction, I've also got to move that negative sign or that subtraction sign that's in front of it. They're kind of bonded together and partnered up. So when we rearrange these fractions and mixed numbers, we've got to focus on making sure if there's a subtraction sign in front of it, that subtraction sign follows it into the parentheses. So I'm going to start by circling my like denominator. So I have 5. Oops, I always forget to hit the pen. I have 5 7/8, and I have negative 7/8 right there. Those are like denominators. Now I also have negative 21. I'm sorry, negative 21. Negative 1 over 2, it's just negative 1/2. Okay, that's a scribble there. We don't need that scribble. And then we have a negative 1.5. Remember, those negative signs stay with those numbers. They're attached, okay? I'm now going to pair my like units together. I'm going to start with my larger ones first, because when we subtract, we always go with the larger ones first. 5 7/8 is my largest number here. I am just going to write down the mixed number 5 7/8. I do not need to put a subtraction sign in front of that because there's not a subtraction sign in front of it here. It's just all by itself. It's just 5 7/8. Okay? Now I'm going to bring down the minus 7/8 right here. Okay? Because this is a minus attached to the 7/8. So everything in this circle I just put down right here. All right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my second group of parentheses right here. I've got -1/2, -1.5. I'm going to put down the larger number first, which is 1.5. 1.5. Now for this subtraction sign right here, if I put it in here, that tells me nothing to do between these two groups of parentheses. I've got to have a linking symbol that goes between these two parentheses. So I'm going to bring this subtraction sign right here, okay, to tell me what to do between these two groups. I didn't eliminate it. Technically, that subtraction sign is still here. I just didn't put it inside the parenthesis right there. Now I'm going to subtract my last fraction, which is 1.5. Okay? Now I can go through and complete my subtraction problem. 5 7/8 minus 7/8. Well, if I have 5 7/8, I'm taking 7/8 away. All I have left is this 5. Boom. That's it. Okay? I'm going to bring down this subtraction sign. Now I've got 1.5 minus 1/2. Well, that's the same concept we just had over here. If I have 1.5 and I'm taking half of it away, I'm only going to have 1 left. Okay? Now I just have a whole digit subtraction problem. 5 minus 1 is going to get me 4. My final answer here is 4. Now again, here I had to, it looks like a really crazy in-depth problem, but really if I rearranged it based on like denominators and I focused on the grouping symbols, I was able to do this in my head mentally. Just remember when you're doing subtraction, if there's a subtraction sign in front of that number, it's bonded to that number. It cannot go without it. Okay? I'm now going to switch to the next page, and we've got 2 more of these problems left. 2 more similar ones. Okay? I'm actually going to create a new video because I'm running out of time here, so come back and watch part 2.